discussion on this topic. You think we can manage that?
All right, did you want to open this, or do you want me to open this, or should just start the recording here?
We can start recording here. Not sure I know the opening.
What's that?
We can start recording here. Not sure I know the opening.
We just say hi. Good.
Hi.
Hi.
Well, welcome to the Droids you were looking for, first ever console review. My name is Rick, also known as InkedandHoley. Mr. J got himself a PS4.
That I did.
From GT. And we're going to ask him some questions, find out what he thinks of it.
Now, I think I would just go on and say is that I've only had it for less than 24 hours. And as I was just telling Rick, the experience, I'm not going to say it's a horrible experience, but unfortunately the first game I'm playing is not sitting well with me. But the overall experience is going to be a really good conversation. So Rick's written up some questions for me, and I will try not playing my PlayStation while he's asking me.
Well, since you brought it up, let's go into that one first. First question, selection of games. We did already discuss in the console wars in one of our podcasts about PlayStation rushing out the console without, fully letting the games develop. Understand you saying you got Killzone. I mean, what's the selection of games like? Do you see a lot of them out there? Is there much on the XBM? PlayStation Network have some? What is it so far?
Right now, and this is what my biggest fear was, and something that I strive for in terms of, because when I was first told that I was probably getting a PlayStation 4 for Christmas, which is pretty epic on its own, I was kind of on the fence about it because whenever a new console launches, you have that huge gap between games and when they're going to be coming out. Now, ultimately, there is going to be a lot of games coming out over the next few months, but unfortunately, with the console launching November into December, nothing really came out. And I mean, ultimately, my options were Call of Duty Ghosts, which I already own, Grand Theft Auto 5, which I already own, Assassin's Creed 4, which I already own, Madden, I don't even know if anyone plays that anymore, Killzone, Marvel Superheroes, and I really cannot remember the other. A Need for Speed. I think right now, in terms of disc, there is not many out there. And when you look at the actual list that's going to be coming out, there's a lot of TBAs to be announced. There's a pile of them. And some of the games that I'm kind of waiting on. I remember when Rick was here, we ended up watching, if you remember, the Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain. It kind of showed what the PlayStation 4 can do. And I can tell you just by playing the little bit I played at Killzone, this is a very powerful machine. In terms of the PlayStation Store, not much to play with. You can pay the little $10 stupid fee for Call of Duty Ghosts and Assassin's Creed 4, so it's cross-platform. But I mean, there's really nothing exciting on the store right now. Even looking in the PlayStation Plus membership section, there's really nothing for the PS4. They do have a lot of videos on what this PS4 can do. It's hard to determine when there's nothing there right now.
So it's pretty much safe to say at this point that, our suspicions that they rushed the system out before the games was founded in truth.
Yeah, I think that, of course they rushed it out because they wanted to get the consoles out for the Christmas rush. That's always going to be the main reason why a lot of things happen so quickly is because Christmas is coming around the corner. They want to be able to get this console out there and sell a lot of units. Like this unit specifically was ordered in December, and I just got the delivery yesterday after I received an email before that saying those will be pushed out to February because of the amount of units that sold. So PlayStation made a pretty penny, but when it comes down to the gamer, it's nice to have a new, beautiful, sexy piece of hardware, but it's horrible when you have nothing to play on it.
Yeah, I can understand that. What about the XBM? I mean, most of us, the smart ones, just kidding, are used to the PlayStation XBM, navigating, everything like that. Did they make it just as user-friendly in this one?
They did, actually, and I found it to be even more user-friendly. I found that the the way how the X-Men was set before, it was, I wouldn't say cluttered. It was just kind of like, this is what you see is what you get kind of scenario. Where with this one, there's just so many facets you can go, and so many additional options. Like you can directly link your Facebook, which you could have before, but you can directly link to it attached to your actual account. So as it shows right now, it shows my Facebook account's attached to my XBM PlayStation account, which is really cool because, I mean, ultimately it's nice to have those bragging rights. And as well, they've added a couple of new things like a notification section as well, where now it shows that it'll tell you like Killzone has need to be updated. Do you want to do it right now? And it will start doing it for you, and it'll give you all these little alerts and everything to ensure that you have the best experience you can with it. And they also, with the notification, it keeps track of your trophies. So if you're wondering what trophy you got, instead of going through your trophies list trying to figure out what the fuck one you just earned, you can actually go into your notifications and it'll tell you what you earned at what time and what day.
That's kind of handy because, I mean, we've all missed the trophy and been like, oh shit, what was that? And then you gotta like pause your game, go into your trophies, find what it was, and then strive for something else.
Mm-hmm. And there is so much more that they've added into this. They've added, they basically cleaned the XBM, if that makes sense. They made it so that everything is more accessible. I found on the PlayStation 3, finding, if you're a layman, I hate to say it that way, it takes you 3 or 4 tries to be like, oh, this is what I need to go to sync my Bluetooth headset. And here it's basically said, Bluetooth headset. You can't really screw it up when it kind of has an arrow pointing at it. And they kind of made it so that anyone can pick this up and go. They've also added in, which they're obviously going to push this, which is their selling point. They're pushing for video unlimited and music unlimited. Now, if you buy a PlayStation 4, they give you 30 days free of music unlimited. The catch is obviously you need to put a credit card on file, because obviously when your 30 days are up, they're going to want to bill you for it. But I mean, from what I've used of music unlimited, it's actually pretty badass. I would recommend it. And then obviously you'll have your Netflix. They're obviously going to continue pushing their NHL Game Center, which is an additional fee on top of everything else. They have the IGN app. So this is more of a app-driven PlayStation, if that makes sense. They've also added in the Playroom, where you can just go and fuck around in, just to have fun with either with your camera, or if it's just making random things. I haven't really played around with it yet, but it's a lot of fun from what I can see here. And I watched some videos earlier, so I probably would suggest someone to check that out.
Right on. Well, this next question kind of goes into a couple different categories. So we're going to start with the physical aspects of it. Overall look and feel. How does the console look? I mean, because I know personally, I find the slim PS3s have a better look than the big clunky ones when the original came out. How does the controller? You were mentioning to me that the controller feels a lot better. It's not much of a change, but I mean, how drastic is it in the hand?
I mean, drastically, if you're obviously used to a PlayStation controller, you're good to go here. I mean, realistically, the controller is the same shape. The size is just... I actually have both of them here, so I can do a direct comparison. There is a difference, but it's not a huge, noticeable difference in your hand. You can visually see it, but you cannot feel it, if that makes sense. The triggers on the back end are more towards your shooters. So when you basically use it, it actually feels like you're pulling a trigger, which is kind of cool. They also incorporated in a touchpad in the middle of the controller. Now, I don't know the functionality perk of it will be in the long run, but right now in Killzone, you obviously have control of what they call an owl, which is a robot, and you can, by using the touchpad, you can give it directions on how to approach, like either attack, defend you, stun somebody, etc. They also built in a speaker into the actual controller itself, so when you're doing deathmatch and stuff to that effect, someone barks at you through the speaker, you'll hear it, it'll hit you right in the face, there's nowhere to go. They also put in an audio jack, as well into the controller. And if you order the PlayStation Now, they will actually give you a headset, which you plug into your controller, which, how do you go wrong with that? I mean, I think the biggest turnoff for most people nowadays is buying a headset. And I think this is kind of like a conversation me and Rick had before. It's like, oh, I got to buy a fucking headset now just so I can play fucking COD Ghost with Rick. And this is like, no, we got you covered. We got you covered right here, which is pretty badass. I have to admit.
That was one thing that I think Xbox had over was I loved the fact that the controllers, I mean, the headset just plugs right into the controller. You don't have to worry about charging your headset or making sure it's connected, everything like that. So kudos on that one.
For sure.
What about the console itself? I mean, I know it's first generation for it, so I mean, it's going to be the bigger models. We all know that eventually they're going to come out with slims. Is it big? Is it bulky? Does it look good with the rest of the systems?
Well, I mean, this one stands out. I think this is, like, if you remember the original fat model, and I know people disagree with me on this, I found that to be the sexy model, because it was a nice, sleek look to it. And then after we went to the slim, it kind of got away from making it, look sexy, just kind of like be more compact. And then I have the third gen PlayStation 3 where it's the top loader, which looks wise is not the best thing in the world. I mean, it does its job, but I mean, ultimately when you think about it, it's not that great. When you look at the PlayStation 4, the look of it alone basically prevents, and it sounds stupid, but elegance. It has this nice shine to it. It basically has only, unfortunately, which Xbox One, and I'm gonna say this out loud, does beat the PlayStation, has an 8-port link up. We only have a 2-port again, and the PlayStation button is actually it's in a perfect spot of the PlayStation. It's something I would have to point out in the picture. But the look to it at all, it's not that big at all. I would say it is about the size of the third gen console I have, but obviously it's not a top loader. To go back to the controller, which is another thing I forgot about, which I was telling Rick about. The controller now has a light up function on it that on the back of the controller, if you are playing a game like say Call of Duty, it will shine green when when your health is in good standing. But as your health gets in worse standing, it actually changes color, and when you die it goes red. So it's kind of like another one of those little, it's not something over the top revolutionary like this is going to change the gaming industry kind of thing, but it's pretty badass to know when you're getting shot and you're not really paying attention. You can just kind of see the glow in your peripheral. You're like, fuck, I'm going to get wasted. So it was nice to see. I don't know how far that functionality goes, but we'll find out when upcoming games come out.
Yeah, all those little nuances are the things that'll attract, right? They may not be game changers, but that's what's going to be, I love the fact that it does this. So, what about when you're in the console, moving around the XBM, playing the games? Like, how is it graphically? Is it fast? Because I know that just switching from PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3, the XBM moved insanely quick.
The XBM is even faster. I find that it's flawless. One of the biggest turnoffs I found was with if you remember my PlayStation, where I'd be trying to sync my trophies and it'll sit at 5%. And you'd be like, come on, for fuck's sakes, hurry up. Because I like to sync my trophies. I like people to know that I'm pretty badass at what I do. So it's flawless. There is literally no wait time. As an example, I just jumped into Killzone trophies, clicked on the trophy, it told me what it is. If it was a PlayStation 3, it'd be press the button and you'd be waiting. Then it'll load, and then you'll click on it again to find out what it is. I find the speed in this console, we haven't even got to the graphic part yet, but the speed and overall performance in this console is insane. And as well, which is something I forgot to mention in the XBM part, is that they actually made it a Facebook type of look to it. There's a section called What's New. And in that What's New is basically posts from anyone that's on your friends list. So as an example, one of our mints, Andrew Fisher, I see that he's played Battlefield 4, and it puts on the time and date that he's played Battlefield 4. So it's kind of creeper kind of function if you think about it. But it also gives you updates like, hey, the PlayStation Store, they just added the Call of Duty Ghost skin for the Wolf. I wouldn't have known that unless I went in there, but it's going to tell me in advance. Also, give me all the launch dates for Infamous Second Son. and it keeps track of when I actually do play or not the place in the Killzone.
Nice. Well, since you brought it up, let's go there. Graphically, how amazing. Is it worth it? Because that thing's got one hell of a beefy graphics processor in it.
It is a giant sexual burrito of joy. I mean, when I was playing it last night, there was a scene where they were. I don't know much about Killzone. I'm not a huge Killzone fan, but your options between football and Killzone, you want to kill shit. When you look at it, there was a scene where it was doing a not much a cinematic shot, but just a nice shot of the town that you're about to go into. I mean, you were sitting there staring at it in complete awe. Even something as granular as a dust of sand, you can see the detail to it. The color is pops. It feels like, and it's going to sound stupid because this is the infamous line over the years whenever a new console comes out, it feels like I'm playing a movie, if that makes sense. And that makes me look forward to games like Uncharted or Tomb Raider or even the upcoming Metal Gear. Because if this is what it can do off a shitty game like Killzone, I'm terrified what it's going to look like when it comes out with an actual real game. Now, the PlayStation Store, which I'm sure is going to be on there eventually, no change. I mean, it's basically the same. They changed the functionality of it. They haven't changed the functionality of it whatsoever. But, I mean, what it boils down to, I'm just looking at it now, I have 4 out of the 5 games that are on the $10 crossover pass, and I'm thinking about actually paying to do the crossover for Injustice Gods Among Us, because I kind of want to see what that game would look like on this console, because that game was disgusting without the beefy graphics.
Alright, well, overall, you've got the amount of games, everything like that. It came with a great price tag if you take into consideration what the PS3 originally came with and whatnot. Is it worth the $400 price tag?
See, that's the thing, though. I'm not going to say I'm a cheap person, but I understand the value of $1. And I think right now, purchasing a PS4 is ludicrous, and I stand by that. Only because the amount of money, first off, you're paying $400, $500 for a unit that doesn't even have a game list. It doesn't even have, and which is kind of shocking to me, because I figured they would have launched a massive launch title with it. This would have been ideal to launch Uncharted, because realistically, Naughty Dog, whatever they make is amazing. But if they could just launch Uncharted with it, because I know Watch Dogs was supposed to be their launch title, and then Watch Dogs kind of fell off the earth there. But Watch Dogs will be out, but I mean, they could have had launch titles to go with this game. Their launch titles were games that were already established on the PlayStation. So I think the price tag is right, but I think the timing is wrong. I think they could have waited just a little bit longer to have at least 15, 20 games out there, because I went to the video store and my selection was 7 games, 5 were rented, 2 were left. And as I said multiple times, I told you my options. So I think they could have waited just maybe, I don't know, they could have capitalized in the new year, but like any other console war, Xbox One says they're going to have it, PlayStation's got to have theirs, right? They got to make sure they have that constant back and forth. So I think the people who lose in this is going to be the gamers as usual, because now they have to sit around with a beautiful piece of machinery for a few months until something comes out.
And again, I mean, understanding, yeah, you've only played it for basically a day. So we'll consider this not necessarily an unboxing, but an initial review. We'll come back, we'll hit it again later after you've had more playtime, more games, everything like that. Yeah. But last but not least, we want to hear from all of you. Do any of you have PS4s? What do you think? Are we unfounded in anything that we've said? Any tips and tricks you want to throw out there? Leave comments. Go to the boards. Droids here looking for Canada. Let us know what you think of it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Any last thoughts you want to throw in on it?
I really got nothing. I'm really we should definitely come back, like you said, and do a revisit of this. Hopefully, maybe after the game library gets a little bit stronger would be the better comment I would make here. And then we can make a better assessment. I think with I just had this up here. I was just looking at the launch titles and when they're coming out. I mean, there's a lot of games that it's going to be changing the industry. And Witcher 3 is an example, and Watch Dogs. And they're both due out in 2014 with no solid date yet. But if after those games come out, we're going to see a huge change. And I feel that that'd probably be a better time for us to come back. Like, even with everything that's happening right now, they're actually Bethesda is making another Doom. What would that be like on this console? That's fucking sickening, just thinking about it. Because playing Doom 3 on the PC was terrifying, but beef it up, thrown on the PS4, that's just a nightmare right there. That's just terrifying, scary, but fun. And then you're also going to have your Resident Evil 7, which obviously I'm going to want to play. And then me and Rick, hopefully, will be hoping for another Dead Island. Because that's what we do. We like killing zombies over and over and over and over again. That's our thing. So.
Right. Nice. Well, I think that about covers it for the initial review. Like I said, leave us your comments. Let us know what you think, your experiences, everything like that. Since I'm in Arizona, I'm going to go as far as to say enjoy your cold weather. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your chimichangas.
Game over, man. It's game over.
Thanks for listening to the Droids We're Looking For podcast. Stay tuned for next week's podcast.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.